Sometimes when you're creating methods, you may not know how many parameters you actually will need. Sometimes you may want to take in 10 integers, or maybe other times you only want to take in 5 integers. So let's go ahead and create a method which we can take in a unknown length of integers. So we can go ahead and say what? Static void add numbers. And so now let's just say that one way that you might want to do it is int n1, int n2, int n3, and then you could have int n4 is equal to 0 and int n5 is equal to 0. But again, what if you want to take in 100 numbers? So you could pass in an array, and that will work. We could say int square bracket numbers and do something with those particular numbers. Now, sometimes an array is not always the best solution. So there is this keyword called params. And params you still have to give it an array declared there, but it says, okay, we're going to take in some unknown number of parameters, and that an unknown number of parameters, we're going to store it into an array of ints called numbers. And we'll just say I'll say int some numbers, and then we'll say for each int I in numbers, so for each I in numbers, some numbers. We want to start this at 0. So we're just adding that together, and then console.write line, your sum is some numbers. So this is the same as if you're passing in an array, but we're adding this params keyword. So now we can pass in, well, any amount of numbers we want. So we can say add numbers, and now this is just going to be a list of numbers. And notice that we're passing in 7 numbers there. We can call this same method by passing in only 3 numbers. We can call this method by passing in only 1 number if we wanted to. No matter how many numbers or how many parameters we pass, it's still going to just go through and add each of those numbers up, just like before. This is quite useful when you have a method and you don't know how many parameters, and you don't want to pass around arrays or lists or other data types. You just want to take in parameters of that type. Now there is an alternative way we can do this, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave the same add numbers there, but I'm going to change this. I'm just going to print out whatever it is. Console.write, and then curly brace I, space. All right, so this is just going to print out the numbers there. Oh, I should probably put a new line here. I'll just do it here. Console.write line. And so now we will actually get out all those numbers printed to the screen. Now, this is useful if you know the type, and it's going to be int. But what if, say for instance, this was apple? So now this is not going to work. Argument of type string is not assignable to parameter type int. C# does have this object type. And this object type is, okay, we don't know what it is. It's just going to be an object. Treat everything as an object. And over here, instead of saying int, we say var, meaning, well, it's going to be an object type. We could say object there also. Doesn't really matter. And now, assuming that those objects have something which can convert it to a string, this line will still function the same. So notice that this parameter list is all ints. This parameter list is 2 ints and a string. And then this parameter list is just a single int. And in fact, you can combine whatever you want because they're all just objects. We could say, 14.23. We can make this a Unicode character, U00FF. I'm not sure which character that is, but we'll find out. And this could be, well, we'll make the string 154. And notice that everything still functions the same way because all of these things in here can get converted to a string. And so we're just saying, okay, these are just objects. We could say object here also if we wanted. Otherwise, var just figures out what type of object it is. All of these are objects. Let's just go ahead and do stuff with those objects. And notice that we have a arbitrary length or arbitrary number of parameters and arbitrary types of parameters there that we are mixing in. So this is that params keyword. It allows you to create a method and take in however many parameters you want into an array, and then you can do something with that array.